Folks in Egypt are accusing Netflix of misrepresenting history in Netflix's new docuseries called Queen Cleopatra.
Cleopatra was Greek. When you look up sculptures of Cleopatra, not looking like a black person to me. Even if you look up her siblings. Come on now. Homeboy ain't black. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, girl. Cleopatra was Greek.
Putting black faces on white bodies is not representation.
Culturally, African Americans have no connection to ancient Egypt whatsoever. We're trying to find a sense of belonging in a culture we're not even a part of.
This is their idea of being inclusive.
The notion that Cleopatra was black is silly. I mean, again, you're allowed to do this in Hollywood because, of course, the only thing that matters is our weird, parochially American perception of what race matters. It's super, super strange.
What's wrong with Netflix showing Cleopatra as a black woman? Well, one, she wasn't. Her ancestor was the general of Alexander the Great, the Macedonian ruler.
Here's how it worked. After Alexander the Great conquered vast parts of North Africa and the Middle East and then died, this would be in the 4th century BCE, there was a giant sort of conflict that broke out among his chief generals. Okay, there was the Seleucid Empire. That was one area. One of the empires was the Ptolemaic Empire, right? Ptolemy. Okay, Ptolemy was one of his regional governors, and he ended up taking over that area. He was Greek. All of his descendants were therefore from him. They were Greek.
She was Greek. She was Macedonian. We know this. How can you not know this?
Is Netflix accurate in the depiction of Cleopatra being black?
To have curly hair like me and a similar skin color.
I remember my grandmother saying to me, I don't care what they tell you in school, Cleopatra was black.
It's not about white and black. This is a very reductive way to talk about things. This is the way that Americans talk about it. I'm very sorry. Like, I come from Egypt. Egypt has a very diverse color palette. People can look like me or they can look deeper skin tone like Anwar Sadat, who comes from a Nubian origin. It's not about black and white.
His argument is that Egyptian history is being erased and being appropriated by all these different groups. And he's saying he's not cool with it when it's white people doing it. He's not cool with it when it's black people doing it.
This representative's approach here is talking about not the color in particular, but like the misrepresentation of the history.
It's about the continuous culture appropriation and falsification of history that has been done by what the so-called Afrocentrist movement.
They want to tell you it's Afrocentrics and African Americans that are making all of this up.
Cleopatra, Black and Beautiful by Dr. Sally Ann Ashton, PhD.
Now let's see who Dr. Sally Ann Richardson is very quickly. Hey, yo, Ozzy, does she look like an Afrocentric to you?
Nah.
Because she's had her hand involved with all of this black Cleopatra stuff.
It's about the continuous culture appropriation and falsification of history that has been done by what the so-called Afrocentrist movement. The Afrocentric movement started the last century as a way, in a good intention, to teach African American about their rich history of West Africa, the great empire of Benin, of Ghana, of Songhali, the great empire of Mali. But the thing is, that's why you find people like Kevin Hart, who subscribes to these theories, who claim that his ancestors built the pyramids. I'm sorry, your ancestors had their own wonderful civilization in West Africa. They are culture appropriating my culture, calling the people of Egypt of today, despite their skin tone, that they call us as invaders, they call us as intruders, and they are being erased from our own history. This is something that Hollywood has done over the years.
The simple answer to both questions with regard to Cleopatra is that we do not know whether she was beautiful and black, unattractive and white, or a combination of any of those modern concepts. We do not have the body to indicate her race through testing DNA. It is with Cleopatra's grandfather that uncertainties develop. Although he had 2 wives of traditional Macedonian background, he seems to have had at least one concubine of uncertain origin, who may have been Cleopatra's grandmother. But this is by no means clear, and some sources indicate she was her husband's sister, and thus pure Macedonian. Assuming, however, that Cleopatra's grandmother was not from the traditional Macedonian Greek stem, the question arises as to just what she was. Sources suggest that if she was not Macedonian, she was probably Egyptian. So by the time of Cleopatra's grandparents, there may have been an Egyptian element in the racial stem.
See, the Ptolemaic dynasty was Macedonian Greek. Cleopatra's parents committed incest. They were both members of the same dynasty and were extremely closely related.
The stories that white people, young, ignorant white people like to tell, is that she was just Macedonian and the Macedonian line were incestuous, and so therefore there was no out. It's bullshit.
And the Macedonians who ruled in Egypt were famously worried about mixing with Egyptians. They didn't even learn Egyptian until Cleopatra.
The native Egyptians had a long history of intermarriage with the Ptolemies. That means that the Ptolemies were not fully Macedonian and fully Greek. They were mixed.
So the thing is, like, we are the only people who are not allowed to tell our own. We are the only people who are not allowed to talk about our own history.
All right, let me
Hollywood
bring. All
is
right,
doing it for us.
Okay.
I showed you content from Oxford University Press speaking about the ambiguity of her paternal ancestry, her maternal ancestry, and the general ancestry of the Ptolemies. None of that said anything about being pure Greek or Macedon. But all you will have is a litany of white people and Egyptians dying on the hill of her being Greek and Macedonian. So Cleopatra's mother may have been Egyptian.
But now we have to prove whether or not Egyptians were the true blacks.
That's easy to prove. That's not a whole night lecture. That's like one picture proves that. Literally, one picture proves that.
Let me see it. I gotta see it.
I'm about to show you white people. I want you to tell me how white they look. Hold on 1 second. Do you see these white people? They look white to you, Ozzy? Jehuti Yefank, Queen T. Amenhotep III. This is Queen T and her grandson, Tut Unk Amen, King Tut. This is a modern Egyptian all the way on the right. Does this look like their descendant over here? Here's the crazy part. If you go to Egypt today, it's there right now on the walls.
It's not just Cleopatra. Everybody in that movie, her court, everybody who's supposed to be Egyptian, they look like they came from West Africa, from the south of the Sahara. We, as Egyptians, are being called intruders and invaders in our own culture. This has been going on systematically. I don't want to wake up one day and find a museum of the African American culture and history claiming the stolen Egyptian artifacts in the British Museum to be theirs. And now I'm hearing that Zendaya, the very popular actor who I would love her to play it, but Zendaya ethnically is half Nigerian, half German, and now she's going to play. Where are the Egyptian actors? Where are the Arab actors who suppose it? And the thing is, even like historically wise, you see in the trailer, it's like, I don't care what they told you, but Cleopatra was black. Who's that woman? Why is African American people are telling my own history? She is there's all of these pseudoscience and pseudo history has been going on, and it has implications. No, I am sorry. African people from West Africa did not build the pyramids.
Okay.
Cleopatra did not like that, and also Jewish people do not build the pyramids.
Okay.
It is time for Hollywood to listen to the people who own that history. So
well, you've made that.
And just
one
more thing. I just want to say one more thing. Egypt had 30 dynasties over 2,700 years. We had kings and queens from the kingdom of Kush, from Nubia, from Libya. This area had bled into each other and expanded and shrunk into each other. I understand exactly what I mean when I say nationality or heritage or ethnicity.
Their identity is an imagined identity. That's why they're up in arms and why they're freaking out. Look. How long has black people's identity been under assault? You see us freaking out? Becoming all undone? They disrespect us every day, in every way. Movies, film, you name it. Print, you name it. Blackface, you name it. The first major Hollywood film, what was that? Birth of a Nation? Everybody was in blackface. If black people are so wrong, why are these Egyptians freaking out? Why are they losing it and becoming undone? You know why? Because that imagined, manufactured, fake identity that they have is all they have. They don't have nothing else. Everything that they got was given to them from the outside or taken by them from the inside. Everything. And that includes Islam. But they're not true Egyptians, because if they were true Egyptians, the real people, actually, they are true Egyptians. They're not the people of Kemet. The people of Kemet were not Egyptians. That's the mind fuck. That's the mind game. The people of Tashemu, the people of Upper Kemet, that's where that culture came from. And they got it from the people in the Sudan. And it was a complex of Saharan and Sudanese mix. That's what you see in Egypt.
Do you guys agree with this guy right here, or do you agree with the other gentleman? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section. If you enjoyed it all, just leave a like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Peace.